Hey, what's up? It's Jake from Nimbus DevOps, and we're going to be doing another script. So I put off for the write a script stuff until we got through this comprehension. So now we're going to go back to something that we tried before, but we're going to do it with list comprehension, and that's to generate a list of even numbers. So we're going to say, given a list of numbers, write one line of code that returns only the even numbers. So that's what we're going to do. So first we need a list. Now, the way this was done before was there was a list given to you that looked kind of like this, and it went up and up and up and up, 49, and then 64, 81, 100. So these are all squares starting from 1 to 10, including 10. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, etc. So that's the idea. And then what we want to do is take that list and go, give me only the even numbers. So first of all, because we're a little more advanced now, let's create a variable to define the max limit for our list range. And I'm just going to call that mx for max. And I'm going to make sure this is formatted as an integer. And at input, and I'm going to say enter a maximum integer for your list range so that we can do it with any number. We're going to want to do it with 10, but that's the idea. And then instead of just taking this list, right, we can actually generate this list without typing it manually, just in case we want to increase the number of elements in the sequence. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to go get a list of squares, and we're going to do a little bit of list comprehension, and we're just going to say n squared for n in range, and then we only want 1 to whatever the max is, and that should return our list. So to check that, we're just going to print the squares in your list are, and then just return squares. Okay, so now let's filter everything but the even numbers. And to do that, we're going to make an even squares variable, and then again, list comprehension. And all we have to do is add one little piece. So we'll say n squared for n in range 1 to mx. I don't know why I always put a space here. But we also want to include this, if not n mod 2. And then from there, I should be able to say print the even squares in your list are, and then return even squares, and then that should be it. So let's check this out. So let's run, what is this, 7, list comprehension. Enter an integer. So if I want to do 1 through 10, I have to enter 11. So 11 is the limit, not including, right? The squares in your list are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, and the even squares are 4, 16, 36, 64, 100. So that seems to work pretty good. So if I enter a different number like 20, here's all the squares, there's the evens. So there you go. So there is a way to get a list that's, you notice I'm not using this variable because I didn't want to just cheat and type the list. So we can take an input, create a sequence out of that, turn that sequence into list comprehension, returning squares, and then take those. We don't even need this. You could delete all of this, right? Well, except for the input part. But like we don't need this part at all. You could do it and it would still work just fine. So the even squares. And not return it. I was just returning it to show you. So there you go. So there's a script that returns even numbers using list comprehension.